Hey, this is Jerry Visco, the publisher of Defyeneurs, and welcome to the Visionaries issue that is kicking off the 2017 new year. And man, are we excited, because today we are live with Gary DeRitter of California, the exceptional leadership coach. I'm so excited about this live interview. Welcome, Gary.
Thank you so much, Jerry. It's just a real pleasure to be here.
You know, Gary, I'm really excited about your success. I'm excited about your definition of success. I'm excited about all the things that you've seen, and just giving, readers some deeper insights into Gary DeRitter. So I want to kick it off with a quote that you share, and it goes like this. So for me, any definition of success has to include trying to live to the full potential of my God-given abilities. So with that, Gary, share with us, why do you feel the world needs visionaries now more than ever?
Well, we're in a very special time, and it's a busy time. It is a time that's filled with distraction. And I think there is a part of everybody who has this idealism and this idea and focus of where they might want to go and might want to be somewhere in their lifetime. We call it just general goal setting, whether it's actually the hard work of rolling up your sleeves, sitting down and writing out where you want to be, what do you want to do. But it's just sort of the big picture of what life could or should look like for you. And then along the way, we get all of these distractions. We have all of these challenges. We have, the making a living kind of lifestyle. And whether it's the legitimate things that pop in and, it's raising a family, and it's travel, or it's a move, or it's a health issue, or it's a business challenge, or it's a downsize, or, all of those things. And it might be a year or two or five, or unfortunately it might be 10 or 20 years for some people. And suddenly they raise their head and say, what did I really want? Where did I want my life to go? What did I want to be? What did I want to become? And I feel that now, maybe more than ever, it's really important in all of this, I'll call it the confusion of the marketplace. It's more important than ever to have people that are going to help to shine that light, and to help people to see and help them to rediscover what they really are all about. And when I talk about my own God-given abilities, I just have a sense that everybody feels that they have special qualities and special values in certain areas of their life. They might be great communicators. They might be great listeners. They might be terrific at a particular skill or a particular talent. And to have wasted any of that in the long term of a lifetime would really, really be a shame. So to me, I look at it and say success is really, in my definition, doing everything you can to use everything you can of who you are to be able to serve and to bring those things into the marketplace in such a way that you've made the world around you a better place, or maybe at its very best, that you've made the world a better place. And managing the distractions, managing, all of what's going on around us. And today the distractions come from everywhere, but it seems like the distractions are better programmed than they used to be. What I mean by that is in the past you had maybe a television commercial that would interrupt your thought and your focus and your attention on a TV show. Well, today you could turn off the TV, but somehow those dings and those bells and those buzzers of every smart device that we carry, those things are cleverly programmed. I call them very smart devices, because they are cleverly programmed to draw your attention and your eyeballs and to bring you to their message. And if you listen to their message long enough, you're being influenced by all the wrong stuff. You're being influenced by the negative news, not just the news, but it's the negative news. You're being influenced by somebody's advertising message and what you need to have in your life and want to have in your life. And it's really doing its very best to program you. And I think we have to be so cautious in that area and close down and shut down and be able to spend the quiet time that allows us to get back to what did we really set out to do today, or this week, or this month, or this year, or even in this lifetime. What did we really set out to do? What was really important to us before we got distracted? And man, oh man, I just think visionaries help us to do that. They help us to bring us back to center bring us back to our values, bring us back to a rediscovery of self, and help us to move forward from where we are to where we want to be, maybe recharting that course so that we can make up for some of that lost time along the way.
I love it. I love it. These are really great tips, Gary. It's, I love that you're inspiring people to focus on what matters most. And, I love how you speak of, we do live in a time of distraction, and, it's okay to focus on the bigger picture of what you would like your life to be. And I think you have a very important message. It's another reason why we're really inspired to have you in this Visionaries issue. There's another quote that you share here, and it's got to be one of my favorites. It goes like this: fun has to be part of the equation. And I think somewhere along the way, a lot of people have forgotten how to have fun. And, I look at you as a leadership coach and expert, and, all the work you've done over the years and in your own business through New Skin. And I just think that you're having fun. And, we speak to this new ROI for the world. It's certainly something I've been inspired to create, where I refer to as reach out and inspire others. And I see you doing that every day with your team, and you're shining this light on people. So share with us, Gary, how will your vision going forward contribute to this new ROI for the world?
Well, Jerry, when I look at the millennial population, and I'm certainly not a millennial, I'm a baby boomer. So I look at the millennials, and, it's easy for baby boomers to have a little bit of a cynical attitude toward millennials. They're ready to change the world as soon as they'll move out of my basement. That sort of, that perspective that you hear and you see in caricature form. But I have a lot of respect for the millennial value system. And what I mean by that is millennials have it right when they talk about really making a difference and choosing work that will make a difference for them, for their family, for the world. I think they have it right when they have a short patience span for being in the wrong area, the wrong direction, the wrong profession, as an example. And that there's got to be flexibility built in, and that you've got to live life while earning a living. Those things are really an important part of, I'll call it a millennial value system. And so part of that is also fun. And I learned long ago, my brother and I joined the direct selling industry after a career. It's really, when I look back, it's 3 careers. I was a college basketball coach, got involved in coaching and recruiting young men to the small college I represented, and it was just an amazing opportunity at age 22 to be a head coach in a program. And I went from there into the business world. My brother had been in the computer industry. His company moved him to California. They interviewed me, hired me, and I left coaching, and I moved to California in the business world, in the computer industry. And now in the direct sale industry, working with people. And as I do, and as I get to work with people and get to coach people, I have a good understanding of what motivates them and how to put together teams and how to coach and how to have fun with what we're doing. And when we started in this industry, we just felt, well, if people came because they enjoyed themselves, because what we were doing made them feel better about themselves, then they would keep coming back. And eventually, by keep coming back, they would learn and grow, and in that growth, they might just have their first level of success. And I think in many businesses, entrepreneurial businesses, success starts small and it feeds on itself. It really develops a confidence and a real culture that says start small, and small successes build, and they build confidence and energy, and those small successes create more activity, and more activity is always rewarded, so that little bit of more activity creates more success. And you see someone go from, showing up consistently, maybe participating to a small degree, and now suddenly taking a role as they become a leader at the lowest level, and a leader of 1, let's say, and then a leader of 2 or 3 or 5. And as they begin to build their team, you see that confidence grow, where in the beginning they would be in fear of having to stand even to say their name, where later they can stand and not just say their name, but do a training better than the next person, better than the veteran or the senior in the business. Sometimes where they wouldn't take a microphone initially, later it's hard to get the microphone from them. But that personal growth is what is so inspiring to me. I love watching the growth, the personal growth. When you start with fun and you build it all around fun, it really creates a great energy. It was about 2 years ago we began to evolve our model a little bit in our training. We were doing some weekend events where it was sort of a getaway, 25, 35 people getting away from home, spending time together, really kind of immersed, really practicing some of what we do in our business, the language skills, the handling of objections, those kinds of things. And we had to, and it was a critical component of just having a great time over the course of the weekend. In having a great time, it lowers everybody's barriers. It opens up people to get out of their comfort zone, whether it's doing something silly or something physical, or just doing things together as a team. Some of these team drills and team experiences, all of those things contribute to the fun factor. And if at the end of the day people have had fun, the learning is really simple. It's really easy. It's almost ingrained in what you're doing. And people will always come back to that, and their experience is a positive one. And the personal growth is easier if you start with laughter, if you start with enjoyment. If it's just the working world is tough enough. It's tough if you're working for a bad boss or a bad environment or a challenging environment that's very limiting and very stifling. And to bring people out of that, even if you're asking them to join you on a weekend that might be on top of a week of hard work, and now get away for a weekend, unless you put a lot of fun and enjoyment into that, that's going to be a challenging time. And if you develop a reputation for really enjoying yourself, really being supportive, having fun, laughter does amazing things. It does amazing things for immune systems, but it does amazing things for bonding. And put all that together, and it really does have an opportunity to help people to change. Jerry, the truth is that change is hard. Mm-hmm. And so many people are kind of like where I was in the business world for a couple of years. I was in a certain groove. I knew my job well. I could go to and from work well. I went back and forth and then back and forth and back and forth. But that groove, sometimes you got to look at that groove and say, is it really a groove, or has it become a rut? And to get out of that rut, that's change, and change means discomfort. And with discomfort really comes growth. There's no growth that I'm aware of that comes without a certain level of discomfort. So if you're building a team and you're asking them to change, and you're asking them, therefore, to get uncomfortable, well, then you better balance that with having some fun and some encouragement and some rewards and some recognition. And when you do all of those things, then it's a little bit easier for them to make those commitments to change and to really get comfortable with being uncomfortable. That's a really important part of our process every day.
I love it. It reminds me of one of my favorite sort of philosophies: if it's not fun, don't do it. And I think people have forgotten that, their passions are really driven by their joy. So I just totally applaud that, and like how you share that success starts small, and through fun and enjoyment, it really starts to build up. So there's another quote here, Gary, that you share, and I love that it ties in a vision. My vision is to contribute to creating a new paradigm for the industry. And you've seen this industry of relationship marketing change over the years, and I kind of want to get into, the question is, what is the difference you wish to make and you wish to contribute?
Well, Jerry, it's been a 20-plus year commitment to the industry of network marketing, direct sale, relationship marketing, whatever label you'd like to put on it. And the truth is, even before I joined it, I knew that it was a controversial industry. And unfortunately, I think the numbers are something like more than 70,000 different companies have entered the field in the last 35 or 40 years, of which maybe 90, 95, maybe 98% are now gone. And they're gone for reasons. They either were undercapitalized, or they had poor management, or the product didn't have staying power, or they didn't have R&D to be able to continue on and to continue to the next thing when the first thing kind of, was had run its course. And so with each failure in the industry has come, well, the carcasses on the side of the road, the people whose hopes were dashed or dreams were dashed or money was lost or reputations were tarnished or all of those things. But I don't think it's unique to our industry. You could look at banking, you could look at healthcare. Recently I was challenged on numbers. How many people are successful in your business? And I got thinking about other industries, and I said, well, if I was offering acting classes, and as a result people got their Screen Actors card or their they became a professional actor. Well, how many people make the money? I mean, how many Tom Hankses are there out there at that rate, and how many starve? I mean, it's one of those stories, right? The starving actors. So in any industry and in any profession, there are the numbers games that you have to look at. On the other hand, there are certain things you can do to help ensure success or to do the very best you can to support those who are willing to make an effort to help them along the way. So when I talk about creating a new paradigm, I think within our industry, if there is a commitment that, number one, you help people understand right up front maybe what's realistic in terms of the time and energy they must put into something in order to get a reward at the other end, and what is a realistic reward and what is a realistic time frame. I think those are important questions we have to ask of a new person who's looking to come on board. I recently kind of shifted my language. I used to talk about a contact list. Now I say you've got to have a list of those whose lives you really want to change. And if you look at your list differently, then you're looking at each of those individuals as the individual and what their potential is and maybe where they want to go. So if we begin to shape our thoughts in that way, change our mindset, and really look at how can we help people as opposed to how can that person help me to get to my goals, then that begins the process of this change in the paradigm. You add some other factors in there like, being sure that, frankly, honesty and values are at the foundation of what you're doing. They're the core of what you're doing. You mentioned the company I've been with now for almost a decade is a company called New Skin, and I feel great about the fact that they have their very core a company. It's truly a charitable organization called the Force for Good Foundation, a 5013C. Projects with 35 countries around the world, projects that really focus on, in many, many cases, children, whether it's education or health or other factors. And then another program called Nourish the Children, which is specifically to provide food that feeds children who otherwise would have gone hungry. If you have values at the very core of a business that represent in such a fundamental way an ability to change people's lives, then you can really feel good about the activity that it takes every day to go out and build your business, to sell product, to sponsor people, to build an organization. That's balanced very nicely because you know that it's such a win-win. Now, the other aspect when you talk about products is that if you are bringing true value to the marketplace, that what you're offering is maybe different, better, maybe is different in such a way that it's even patented and proprietary and exclusive. Now you can feel really confident that what you've brought to the marketplace has its standalone value. And if you feel good about that and can always represent that, then you can hold your head high. If somebody says, gosh, I'm really not interested, you can very professionally thank them for their time and then just move to the next person on your list to whom you'd like to present to maybe help them change their lives in a very positive way. If you have that energy and you're doing it in such a manner that you're very truly offering this from your heart, that it's a positive in their lives, then it really does kind of change the way you've gone about it. I also, I have to tell you that it was about 10 years ago, we had come to the conclusion that the company we had been with for 17 years, because they had been bought out and there was a change in management and a change of philosophy at the very top, and we didn't really connect with that philosophy. it didn't resonate with us, and where he wanted to take us wasn't really where we wanted to go. And so we began that process of searching the industry, doing a lot of research, knowing not only what we wanted but what we didn't want in a company. It allowed us, without the emergency, without having to make this decision quickly or frankly at all, but as we evaluated companies, it gave us a chance to look for those values that we were truly looking for in a company. And in doing so, that took us a lot closer to that new paradigm, to really being able to influence not just people throughout our company, but people throughout our industry, that there is really, frankly, right ways to do this, wrong ways to do this. And when I hear somebody critical of the industry and I listen to the reasons they give, I have to kind of shake my head and agree. I say, I'm about 85% with you. I don't like that about the industry either. I don't like that either, or that or that. So let's talk about the way that we could do this, because in its purest form, our industry is absolutely magnificent. I like to share this story that my first real introduction to the industry was through my parents. I'm not involved in the company they were involved with back years and years ago, but I did see my dad, who had a high school education, had run a couple gas stations for his career, 23 consecutive one-year leases with his company. Every time they did pretty well, guess what? They renegotiated and they'd have that margin cut each time. And so with health issues, he decided to walk away from that, and he got involved in the direct selling industry. I saw him go from kind of shy and not really being a vocal leader or an outspoken person, and suddenly he was doing a nice job building a little team and having some enjoyment with it and some success with it. But along the way, he had health challenges, and he had triple bypass surgery, and he had come through that and was pretty new in those times, and there he was on stage having successfully gone through the bypass surgery with real questions marks as to how long that might last, et cetera. We're talking back in the 1970s. But he was on stage, and he was recognized for modest success in his direct sale business. And I saw what it did to him and for him, changing his, I guess you would call it his vision of himself to a higher level, what he could contribute to the growth of other people. I saw him leading small meetings in our basement, teaching people public speaking, my dad, public speaking. And I was so impressed by that I was sold on the industry. And I said, at its finest, in its purest form, this is a business that emphasizes personal development and personal growth, that encourages people, that gives them a vehicle to succeed, that allows them to be all they can be in the marketplace, to utilize their skills, to discover some of their talents, and to be able to bring that into the market. And I just think that's just an amazing business if it accomplishes those things.
It's fantastic. It's fantastic. Absolutely. I love it, Gary. I mean, it's interesting listening to you speak. I could listen to you all day long. You've got that radio voice, which is fantastic. But Defyeneurs, as you know, is this energy around everyday people doing extraordinary things. We certainly took a big interest in the relationship marketing sphere. We actually had dedicated a whole issue to it 24 months ago called the Top 50 Relationship Marketing Tips. And it's interesting because there were many leaders that were profiled. And my recent book, which just coming out this week, called Big Dreamers, one of the leaders speaks to this list that you talk of, which I love, and he actually called it a life list. So it really resonates with me when I hear leadership experts like yourself, focus on helping people kind of, whose life do I want to change? So, and it's funny because you're right. Not just the relationship marketing industry isn't the only industry that we've seen, take hits. I mean, there's a great book called How Great Companies Fail and How Great Companies Fall. And it speaks to companies like HP that almost went down, Circuit City, companies that were really very successful. So, Gary, before we move into the last question, I want to ask you, I want to get some tips, your top tip for your team around vision. Every year, we try to create a manifesto and a real mantra. That's what I do for myself. And 2017 is really, for me, about inspiring vision in the world. And you're a visionary. You're a true visionary. So your top tip for maybe new team members that you've just brought on board that are struggling with creating a vision for themselves, what's your top tip? What can they start to do to really create that vision for 2017?
One of my mentors in life passed away a few years back. I know many of your community knows the name Jim Rohn. Mm-hmm. And Jim affected so many tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of people around the world, and he will continue to do so because, fortunately, his legacy is in his words and his tone. We captured it on audio, we captured it in video, and he was remarkable in his presentation. And Jim taught, as a primary principle, he just taught that you always had to work harder on yourself than you did on your job. And so when we're working with new people, and just this past weekend I was in Toronto and working with some of our team there, and we worked with a number of new people in kind of one-on-one groups, or one-on-two, one-on-three, as I traveled about and met with some of our newer people. And in each case, I always recommended having a course of personal development as part of what they were doing. So to me, that's so critical because it begins to shape mindset and philosophy. Mm-hmm. And if you have the mindset and philosophy set, if it's all right, then you can persevere through any challenge along the way. I think one of the things I learned from Jim early on was when he talked about that what happens to you in life isn't really what's going to determine your outcome, the long-term success you have, or any of those things. Because as he used to describe, divorce happens, business failure happens, health challenges happen. They happen to you, and they happen to everybody. The same circumstances set to two different people will have such different outcomes. You have to scratch your head and say, how is that possible? And yet it happens all the time. So what is the difference? And the difference is mindset. So therefore, can we help somebody to develop a mindset of a winner and understand that simple principle that what happens to you doesn't matter, it's how you deal with it. How you deal with it and what the meaning is in it is critical. That's everything, because that's the difference between someone who becomes paralyzed and becomes a great example and trains and works with others with similar challenges versus somebody who thinks their life is over, they're done, they shut down, and it's all over. And it's easy to talk about that, but it's really the truth of the matter, right? And it comes down to mindset and philosophy. So my advice, therefore, is read, listen, seek great guidance and understanding, and the people who are successful in whatever field you would like to be successful in, there are people who have succeeded ahead of you who have preserved how they have done it in words and audio, and you can seek it and find it through some of the great writings and the great audio programs today and video programs today. You have access through YouTube. I mean, if you were just to go seek, you would be amazed at if you would consistently program yourself for success, how it will change your attitude every single day. And it will impact your relationships every single day. And those are the relationships in work and the relationships at home. And it'll just make you a better person, not just in the marketplace, but in your home and family life. So work hard on yourself. That to me is everything.
That's an excellent Gary DeRitter tip. I call it RLS, read, listen, seek. I think that's fantastic. Gary, with this final question, I want to twist this question and go a little deeper with it. And I'm always inspired by leadership coaches and experts like yourself who, really have a compassion and really demonstrate a deeper sense of empathy for others. And, I just listening to your energy and having interacted with you on a couple occasions, you really care about everyday people and inspiring them to do extraordinary things. This last question is around legacy, and I understand you're in, is it Jersey today?
I'm in Jersey
with your mom, which I just think is fantastic. Gary, you've gone on to you've you've done some great things in the world. You've impacted others and have gone on to impact others, and there's no question your ripple effect is being felt by generations. My question for you, Gary, my final question is, what will your family and your friends say about Gary DeRitter? How did he live his life?
Wow, I always say it's not about me, so I have trouble when it's zeroed in on me, like what am I all about? Well, I think I'm the culmination of a lot of great coaches, and I've learned an awful lot through the years, and I'm just sort of the accumulation of some of those things. Let me share a couple stories on that. Mm-hmm. So what came to mind as you began to ask the question, I haven't thought this all the way through. I hope it comes out the way I would really like to intend it. But when my son was a freshman in high school, I had already been a college basketball coach. I got back involved in coaching when he started playing ball. And so I got to be the freshman coach that year. Now, he got bumped up to the JV, so I was coaching a team that didn't have him, and that was great for both him and for me. And I had the opportunity to coach, really terrific young guys that I had actually coached as 7th and 8th graders, some of them. And we went into a tournament, and we didn't have a particularly tall team in basketball. Quite often size goes along with ability. But we had a team that really liked working, and they bonded well as a unit. They played well together. And so we went into this tournament right at the beginning of the year. It was 32 teams in the tournament in Southern California, which is a highly competitive area for basketball. And as we won game after game, we then came across this team, and gosh, when these two teams were warming up, it just looked like David and Goliath. It just looked like it was going to be a terrible outcome for our team. And, they had some just superior athletes and superior size and all of that. And yet, when the game was over, it just seemed the score was this huge disparity. We had clobbered them. We had beaten them by something like 24 points. It was shocking to everybody in the gym, every student who was watching, every parent who was watching. Certainly the other team was stunned by being upset. They thought upset by this small, quick hustling team. I took away from that the most amazing things can be accomplished through hard work and teamwork. The hard work had come prior to the game. This is a group that they brought energy every day to practice. And we had worked on things because we knew we would be outmanned and outgunned and out-athletic on a regular basis. But we had great teamwork, and everybody had a certain court awareness and vision, and they played well together. But the hard work had gone in. The teamwork was part of it. And because of that, they had a vision that maybe even was a bigger vision than what their coach had. In other words, they were accomplishing things on the court that even surprised me, and I have to say that, and I have to admit that. So I think you can learn each step of the way from different things as you're going through life. What do I contribute? What have I done? I think I've brought a certain passion to what I do. I've brought an energy to my game every day. I try not to be complacent. I never think I'm done. I try to learn from people, and I try to be able to contribute wherever I can. But at the same time, I also believe that you just have to get out of your comfort zone, no matter what and where and when. So early on, I started to learn that even though I had a big brother, and even though that big brother was really talented and really knowledgeable and really skilled, that he gave me license to be me. And he didn't say, no, big little brother, watch me, stay out of my way. He really said, go for it, little brother. You can do this. And, hey, you've got some amazing skill and talent. And, so I always had that voice in my head saying, hey, you can do this. I had parents who always said, you can do this. So I think my style is one of saying to people and to my family, hey, you can do this. And that encouragement and that constant awareness and encouragement and belief, I think, has influenced people around me. And And I know that will, in fact, have a ripple effect. As I've been able to travel, and it's frankly, for a kid who grew up in Paterson, New Jersey, and worked at a gas station myself, that was how I earned my summer money as I worked my way through those early years and got a college basketball scholarship and got my spending money working in a gas station and that kind of thing. I mean, I'm honestly very, very, very humble beginnings, but to think that I've been able to travel to places like Russia and Finland and to Australia and to Singapore and to the Philippines, this year to the Philippines, and to speak in front of groups and organizations, just kind of not just share my story, but share some of the values and principles. It's a humbling thing, and everywhere that I go, I try to learn and I try to be open. And I know that when I was first asked to speak in front of a group of this size or that size or that size, it was really can I do this? And yet I didn't hesitate to try. And as now we move into social media and I'm doing more things with Facebook Live, or I'm doing more things in broadcast mode with higher leverage and with higher ability to impact so many more people so much more rapidly, it's an impressive and imposing concept together. And, I think it's just a wonderful, wonderful world that we live in, where we have moved so fast, that the speed of communication is so extraordinary, that the price of all of this has come down to the point where now, we can touch people's lives in so many profound ways and so very quickly. So I encourage that and I support that, and I want to bring more people into that world by helping them to step out of their comfort zone. So I guess I hope I'm remembered for helping people and developing teams and supporting personal growth, because if I've done that, then that's quite a legacy.
I love it. Gary DeRitter of California, I call this profile Giving Back, pages 38 and 39 of Visionaries on behalf of Defyeneurs and everyday people doing extraordinary things. We want to thank you, Gary, for contributing your amazing vision to this issue of Defyeneurs MAG. Thank you so much.
Jerry, it has been my absolute pleasure and honor. Thank you.